Keeping people engaged in 2023 is one of the hardest things to do as a content creator, especially when that number below isn't very big. So there's a couple of little things that I've been doing to my videos to make people watch for longer and to actually consider subscribing. And the first one is making those first 30 seconds as entertaining as you possibly can. And yes, it is a little bit extra effort to get the drone out just for one sentence to fly it by the side of the car, but it looks cool and it makes you go, what the hell is going on? What is he even on about? This guy, like what? It just makes your brain go, what the fuck? But I know what you're gonna say. I don't have a drone. I don't have a car mount to put the camera on the front of the bonnet while I'm driving. I don't even have a car. Well, that's why I did those first 5 seconds as something that we can all do. And it's probably actually the most effective one. It's just a simple zoom in and zoom out on those first 5 seconds of the video in a nice symmetry location that's really pleasing to look at. So to do this, obviously, find a symmetry location, get your camera on a tripod. I recommend using a compressed lens like an 85mm because you can shoot even further then and get even more of a dramatic zoom in. But if you don't have that, it's completely fine. And then you're just gonna go into editing. You're gonna set 2 keyframes from the first starting point, which is normally the widest point of your lens where you actually shot the shot. And then you're just gonna zoom in to when you actually say the main point. So for me, what did I even say? I did it on the first word. So, and I also did an arm with it as well to make sure that I hit it on that zoom in, and it was a big catch of focus to the person that's just looked at my thumbnail and then YouTube just played that first 5 seconds. That's where you wanna catch them with that zoom in and zoom out. And don't worry, we don't need to do this for the entire video. It's just for those first 30 seconds to a minute to get their attention. And then once you've got them in, it's kind of relatively easy to keep them in the video till the end. You just have to do these certain little things that I'm gonna give you to ensure that they don't get bored. Actually, let me take this coat off because it is annoying me. So we've got them past the intro of the video. They're in it now. Now we just need to make sure we're cutting out all the dead space, like I've literally just shown you there. You see all those pauses, those really awkward pauses? Get them out of your video, whether that be B-roll that you thought should be in there, or me starting up the car and putting on the seatbelt, you thought that looked cool. Boring. Get it out there. It doesn't need to be there. It didn't add any value to the video. No one cares that I'm starting the car. Just cut straight to talking. And in between sentences, this is the one thing that everyone does and that I used to do as well. I've only just changed it these last couple of months, but it's made a massive difference, and that's using J-cuts. It takes a little bit extra effort, but when you're in editing, those clips that you just saw had a gap in it, like I just did there. But if you use J-cuts, you can go from one sentence to the next sentence seamlessly and cut out all that dead space. So how you do this, you basically get your footage side by side from the one clip you want to then go into the next clip you want where you're speaking. You want to get the second clip that's on the right, you want to open that up so there's a gap in between. You're going to put it over the clip that's in front of it, and you're going to zoom right in so you can see the 2 audio files. What you're looking at is that tiny flat line on both the audio files and then the rise of when you're actually speaking or you're finishing a sentence from the previous clip. You're going to line those 2 things up perfectly so they just about have no gap in between. Make sure they have a tiny gap, don't just do it straight into it. Make sure there's a mini natural gap, and then from there you're going to hold Alt and you're going to grab the second set of footage on the top and you're going to drag that to where the actual previous footage finishes. And what this is going to do is allow you to hear the next clip before you've even seen it, which self-consciously makes them want to keep watching to find out what you're even saying and where that voice is coming from. Oh wait, there's the next shot. Okay, what was he saying again? I used it on that drone shot back there. You might have not even noticed it. I'll play it again now. And the first one is making those first 30 seconds as entertaining as you possibly can. And yes, it is a little bit extra effort to get the... So I finish off the drone shot, but I've already started the audio for the next clip, and then it just cuts straight into me talking in that next position. Whereas if I just did this, and the first one is making those first 30 seconds as entertaining as you possibly can. And yes, it is a little bit extra effort to get the... It would be a lot more boring. Does that make sense? So definitely make sure you use J-cuts. Once you start doing them over and over again, it becomes really quick, and it's not that much time taken in the editing process. Now they're at like the 3-minute mark of your video. They're nearly halfway through, so there's a couple more things we need to keep doing to get them to the end of that video. And that is utilizing transitions and backgrounds. So this is just things you can do in between shots, in between clips, or even when you're talking, just to seamlessly go into another location, to switch it up and to keep their brain fresh. You don't just want to sit at a desk. I could do this whole video right here and I could just talk to you using the J-cuts and using like the crazy zoom ins and zoom outs for those first 30, well, I can't even speak, for those first 30 seconds, but if I didn't change the background or didn't do little transitions, it just gets boring. Unless you're really interested, it does just get boring. So you need to just switch up by having something in the background that's either moving or just looks symmetrical. Like I put myself in the middle of this tree and this wind turbine, and the wind turbine happens to be moving. And it's just a nice looking shot. It's nice and symmetrical. I look cool in this shot, and it's something for you to look at while I give you the information. But I'm not gonna stay here, do you know what I mean? I'm gonna seamlessly transition into another location where I can speak to you here now and explain the next point, but it is as simple as that, because guess what? I'm in the same location. There's the wind turbine. I just moved it 30 seconds, not 30 seconds, 30 degrees to the left, and now I'm in a different location. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I've got to drive over here, and I've got to drive over here. There's like 6 different locations in this one area right now that I could use for the entire video. And that is exactly what I've done. I've literally used this whole road for the entire video. I haven't come off of this road. I've done it on this entire strip because it's just easier. I ain't got time all day to be filming in all these crazy locations. So just find an area where there's loads of room and just utilize that room and use your brain to make it more engaging, and just move your tripod and do a little bit of effort. And if you've got any plugins like I just used there, I use Motion Array, where you can get these cool little transitions to add into your videos. If you don't want to do like the manual ones where you cover the lens like I did earlier, you can use those like digital ones to do like a film flick or like a fade in with a shutter. They're quite nice. There's some free ones you can get in Premiere, but I would recommend going to a third-party one and getting some nice transitions. You can buy a little pack that you can keep forever as well. And like I was saying earlier, the further we get into the video, the less effort you have to do, because we've got them hooked now. I don't need to keep doing all these crazy drone shots. I've actually slowed it down now, and I'm just doing the standard shots. But obviously, the car's in the center of the frame, you know, we've got to keep that in mind. But as you slow down, you don't just want to like give up. You still want to do something, which is what I'm doing right now. Doing something in your shot while talking and explaining the point, again, gets their brain ticking over. Have you been on TikTok recently where you've seen those videos where someone's saying something on a podcast, but then they've got GTA 5 underneath playing at the same time, and it's like them driving, that's got nothing to do with the video at all, but it's just there for you to look at to keep your brain engaged while they explain the boring information that they want you to hear. Well, that's what you can do in your videos by just doing what I just did. I didn't need to get my coat out that passenger seat and put it in the boot, but I just did it because it's something to do and something for you to look at, instead of me just sitting here like this being like, hi guys, listen to my video and subscribe. Do you know what I mean? It's so much more easier to keep people's brains ticking over. Oh, and last point, I might as well do this here instead of changing shot. See, I can be lazy now because I've got you in the video, but that is show, don't tell. Always remember that. If you're doing like a desk video, like sometimes I do desk videos, I show a lot of stuff on screen instead of just sitting here talking, because that gets boring. So like all the stuff I've just explained, get some screen recordings, get some B-roll, get some stock footage of the things you're on about and put it on the screen, because it makes it so much more engaging for the person instead of you just going on and on and on. So just remember, actually that whole section, show, don't tell, all right? Remember that. Right, so the last point is sound and music, okay? They're actually the most important parts of your video. If your video sounds like shit, nobody's gonna watch it. It can look as cool as possible, but if your audio is all messed up and you're not utilizing the right sound effects or music and timing, then nobody's gonna watch it. So you wanna make sure you've got a decent mic system. Don't just be using the in-camera body mics. I know you might not have the money, but trust me, you can get some really, really good cheap mics. And the best one that I can recommend is the Rode Shotgun Mini. This is the best value for your money as a beginner trying to get some decent audio in your videos. I used this for 3 years. Funny story, I didn't actually plug it into the right microphone jack, so I wasn't even using the microphone for 3 years. I was just using the in-body camera, so make sure you actually plug it into the right port. But when you do plug it into the right port, you get some really nice, crisp audio. Okay, got some company. Here we go. Actually, I'll leave this rolling. You all right, mate?
Never sell it.
No, it's not for sale. No, I don't want to get rid of it just yet. You too. See you guys later. Sorry about that. Some people pulled up and I thought they were going to kick me out, but they're actually all right. I was talking to them for ages about bikes. But anyway, yeah, that's a good option. But then if you have a little bit extra money, I do really, really, really highly recommend getting a set of Rode wireless mics. You can go for the earlier ones, but the newest ones, they work perfectly, because I can talk at a normal voice right now, and you are so, let me show you on my phone, you are all the way over there, and there's no way you'd hear me with just a shotgun mic on. So having these wireless mics, I can talk so normally from really far away, and it just gives me a lot more freedom with shots that I can actually get now, because if I had a shotgun mic, I couldn't do these far shots, it just wouldn't work. There's a couple of little effects I add on as well to my audio. So I use a chromatic equalizer. You type that into the effects panel in Premiere, you're going to put it on your footage, and then you're going to drag this first little dot above the 2 and on the second line, and that's going to amplify the lower parts of your your voice and like the sounds in the actual audio. So like the bass in your voice, it's gonna bring that up. And then also you're gonna type in hard limiter. And then when you put that on your footage, it's actually gonna give you like a cap for how far your audio can go. So if I suddenly start screaming, it's gonna cap that audio and then it won't let it go higher than 3 decibels, minus 3 decibels, so then it won't blow out the audio, and then the person watching doesn't have to keep turning up and down the footage, you know what I mean? So it gives you just like a top end point. And to go along with your nice microphone and stuff like that is music. You really need to utilize music because it's just gonna make your video so much more entertaining and give it that vibe that you want. It gives that feeling that you want your audience to experience. So when I make an intro, like the intro you just saw, I could just leave it with no music, so I'll play that right now. Keeping people engaged in 2023 is one of the hardest things to do as a content creator. That's boring. Obviously, like I'm enthusiastic with my words, but it's still just boring. But I could also do this, I could add music, but the wrong music. Keeping people engaged in 2023 is one of the hardest things to do as a content creator. So that just doesn't give the same vibe. That's so weird. But in my head, when you watch your footage, you need to look, right, okay, what am I talking about? What sort of vibe do I want to give? And I wanted that upbeat, happy, sort of in your face vibe music, so I put that beat that I did at the beginning, which was this. Keeping people engaged in 2023 is one of the hardest things to do as a content creator, which gives it that nice fast-paced, happy, sort of modern upbeat style to it, so the person's like, okay, yeah, this is cool, this is a cool video, do you know what I mean? And it just adds that sort of vibe to what you're saying and just backs up everything else with it. So now you've got your track that you've selected, you need to time it right with your footage. Don't just let it play and then start putting clips on top of beats that don't really work. I used to be a dancer, so I understand timing quite well, but if you don't, it's quite simple to understand. There's just main key points in the music, like a big dramatic drop of a beat, like on a fucking dubstep track, and a big drop happens. You want to put that dramatic part of the footage, or that really important part of the footage, on that drop so it looks cool and backs up the footage even more.
My mind be my corner pin. Let me chuck this thing and be proud of it. I will carve it in and I'll make you.
As opposed to playing it before it and then the footage happens after it and it's like, oh, that would have looked cooler if it was on the drop. Or just a case of sticking to the beat. So if there's a bass in the beat constantly, or if it's coming up to the end of a phrase, which is like the end of a sentence really, then that's when I would change the shot.
We should run away to a brighter day. Like a bag, couple tickets, hopping on the plane. Hit a different country with each other, change your last name. Tell me, is you with it? Cause I'm with it, and you feel the same.
It's hard to explain, but once you do it, just try to stick to the beats. Do your cuts and your transitions on the bass or on just something in the music that's got a key hit, and it's gonna really affect your footage and just change your whole video. All right, so that's everything. But if you want that last little bit of engagement, make sure you end the video fast before people click off of it.